Bonjour.
Salut. Ah, merci. France, a country proud of its history and tradition of excellence. The nation where Grand Prix motor racing was born, yet no Formula One race has been held here since 2008. But after 10 years away, it's back. This summer, the French Grand Prix returns. Welcome to the circuit. Coming up, France's most successful driver on the much anticipated comeback.
We have to get back the history and try to build something new for the future.
The current crop preparing to compete on home soil. And Sir Jackie Stewart remembers a Frenchman who was so much more than a driver.
He was one of the most attractive, apparently, to the young ladies of any driver in the history of Formula One.
A fine start for one of Europe's major racing events.
The first Grand Prix was held in France over a century ago at Le Mans in 1906. Over the next 65 years, the French Grand Prix became a staple of the international racing calendar, but it wasn't until 1971 that the first of 14 Grand Prix took place at the new, fast Paul Ricard circuit. Through the 80s, the crowds at Paul Ricard grew used to seeing a certain home favourite on top of the podium, Alain Prost, year after year after year. And though in 1991 the French Grand Prix found a new home at Magny-Cours, some things stayed the same.
Alain Prost receives the cup for winning the French Grand Prix from Jean-Marie.
While the faces eventually changed, the Grand Prix remained at Magny-Cours until its final appearance in 2008. It's certainly been a long road back to the Formula One calendar for the French Grand Prix, and on our journey here we stopped in on a very wet Nice to speak to someone who knows that better than most. The four-time world champion Alain Prost, who won the last race at Paul Ricard when it was held in 1990.
Ten years without a French Grand Prix is a little bit too much. And obviously today we have Renault is back in really performing quite well, and two top drivers. We also have three French drivers. So it's you have a sort of synergy around the French Grand Prix, which was never like this in almost in the past. So we are quite positive on it.
Obviously for us at Renault, it's special because it's the home Grand Prix of our brand. So it will be an important race and week, but I'm sure it's going to be good, and I look forward to it.
I was very lucky because I won 6 times the French Grand Prix and 4 times in Monaco. That means 10 times, the Francophone thing. So it's a little bit like my garden.
Obviously now we're back in Paul Ricard, where Formula One used to take place also. Obviously it's changed, it's quite a modern circuit now.
I hope that we have a good race. It's going to be difficult to win this year, the French Grand Prix, but if we do a good result, it's going to be good for the people. So we have to get back the history and try to build something new for the future.
And it's that expertise from Alain Prost that the only French team on the grid continue to tap into as they mount their Formula One challenge. Renault returned as a constructor in 2016, and I'm pleased to say their managing director, Cyril Abiteboul, has agreed to take me on a little drive in a pretty special little car. Great to see you.
Hello.
Shall we?
Let's go.
This is worse than being on a track.
Come on.
Cyril, I think the last time I properly spoke to you was at the big announcement, Renault are back. Really late ahead of the 2016 season. Here we are, 2018. How is it going?
Well, it's life as always, and Formula One in particular. There's been ups and downs, but I think overall we can be satisfied of the journey so far. We'll know it was going to be a tight battle all the way through this season, but that's pretty much the target that we had set to ourselves, both on track and off track. So overall, pretty satisfied.
When you came back, there was a lot of criticism that the drivers perhaps weren't as good as Renault fans had hoped. How much of an improvement are the current pair?
We are building the profile and the experience of the team around Nico Hülkenberg, who was on a long-term contract, and Carlos, who joined us last year, was a wake-up call also, and brought something new, something fresh to the team, but also push Nico to do even better. And we are in the fantastic situation of the two drivers competing against each other and pulling and pushing the team forward, so that's absolutely fantastic.
We'll see if we can afford stability. You used that phrase, at this point in the journey. Does that suggest for you this isn't your long-term driver lineup?
Well, nothing is long-term in Formula One, but we will see. We have also to accept that we don't totally control the fate and destiny of Carlos Sainz. He's on a loan from Red Bull. It was a very good option and opportunity for us for this year that we seized. We see if we can turn that into a more longer-term plan.
So you're talking to other drivers? Which other drivers?
It's a bit of a secret. You have to ask. Well, you have to ask, but that there are not that many options. So we want someone with a bit of experience. I think it's too early to in our journey to take someone with no experience. I think we are not ready for that. We want someone fast. We want someone available. Could be French. So if pretty sure that you can imagine who that could be.
Is there an extra pressure for your team heading into the French Grand Prix?
I was pretending that there was not up until now, but I think the pressure is progressively mounting. Yeah, that's coming because there is expectation, but that's a hard reality of Formula One. We know that you are only as fast as what your car will allow you to be, plus drivers, plus engine. And in a set of regulation, we can't really think of anything special. Having said that, we will do our best to do something nice.
When we return, the French drivers gearing up to compete on home soil. Welcome back to the circuit and France as we head to the Paul Ricard circuit and edge ever closer to the return of the French Grand Prix. It'll be a particularly special weekend for the French drivers on the grid who never before have been able to lay claim to a home race. With several podiums to his name, Haas driver Romain Grosjean knows the value of training on and off the track. Are you allowed to do much outside Formula One? Surely there's a few insurance clauses in there somewhere.
Actually, I'm quite free, we're doing cross-country skiing over the winter. Cycling I can do, running, swimming I can do, so, gym, tennis, all the type of things I like.
I was going to say, do you enjoy the fitness side of it?
Yeah, I do, and it's quite a good way as well to clear your mind in between races, as cooking is for me, and it's always important to feel that you've done the job outside of the racetrack to come on a Grand Prix and thinking, okay, I've done everything I could do back home to prepare myself, now it's up to driving.
This season, you get a home race.
We do.
How exciting is that?
Oh, it's amazing. I think it's going to be a superb event, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Obviously, I'm lucky to have that in my career because it disappeared just the time I arrived, and I didn't know if it was going to come back or not. And here it is, 24th of June 2018. It's going to be a special date for every French fans, every French people involved in motorsport. Thinking about Renault and obviously the French drivers.
Of course, there will be 3 officially French drivers lining up with Pierre and Esteban and yourself. How much have you spoken to them?
We've talked about it, and obviously the drivers' parade is the time where we get the most chance to speak to each other. So yeah, we're all very, very much looking forward to it, and we've been promoting it. And again, as I say, can't wait to be in June.
Do you, in some ways, act as a mentor for them?
Well, they're in Formula One, so I don't consider them as younger generation anymore. I'm trying to help younger drivers, yes, because I think it's important. And I was lucky to have Jean Alesi when it was my career, and a little bit Fernando Alonso, and just chatting and being able to chat with those guys made a big difference to me.
Do you feel that responsibility to carry on the mantle for France?
Well, yeah, I want to be, I want to be as successful as I can. I would like to be that driver that, that we forget Olivier Panis, but he's the last French driver that won a Grand Prix, and it was May 1996. So it's 22 years ago, and he asked me once, "Can you please win a Grand Prix?" Because I'm fed up of hearing about that one, and I've been trying, never say never.
I'm Esteban Ocon, I'm 21 years old, and I come from Évreux, Normandy in France. Where it all started, it's in karting, but it was totally randomly. We went to a holiday place when I was very young, and there was a mini kart there, and obviously I wanted to try it. I went in there, and I did pretty well. I just didn't want to stop, As soon as I got myself into a small go-kart, I just wanted to keep going, and I was asking, when do we go karting again? When do we go karting? We started competition, I started to win. So I had this taste of winning as well, and plus of doing the sport I loved. It got very professional very quickly in my career, and as soon as it was professional like that, I just knew that's what I wanted to do for all my life. My dad is a mechanic, and just pure racing. It was just great fun. He was my racing mechanic. He was my truckie. He was everything. We were living in the caravan, and my family were following me everywhere, and my dad was the main man. Doing all that. In single-seat and junior formulas, I won Formula 3, so I'm European champion, and GP3 then the following year, in 2015, GP3 World Champion. Back in 2016, I was a professional driver for Mercedes in DTM. And I was just doing my championship, and in the summer holiday, I just got a call from Mercedes that they said, you will do the rest of the season in Manor. So that was dream coming true, Once you step up with Force India, of course, it's different. The team are expecting a lot more. It's different targets, when you replace a good driver like Nico Hülkenberg, you need to straight away be in the pace and be doing the result. So, I had to learn everything very quickly, but you always learn from your teammates. And of course, Checo is very, very experienced. He has done many podiums, he has done a lot of great results, and he's one of the best drivers on the grid. So for sure I've learned a lot from him. Seeing the Paul Ricard and the French Grand Prix coming back, it's just awesome. It was the best news of the year for me last year. I'm really, really happy. I think France is a very strong nation for motorsport, always been, many great manufacturer, many great cars, and it's part of history. People called me last year Consistency. That was pretty funny. I think it reflects a bit what you are doing, but in Formula 1, everything can change quickly, so you have to be careful.
Hails from France, races for Toro Rosso, but as a child, Pierre Gasly started off playing football. So So, we know you're a big fan of PSG. How good are your football skills, really?
Yeah, I try to play. I played when I was young, from 6 until 11, and then after I decided to focus on go-karts and my motorsport passion, and I think that was the right decision.
What does it mean to you, though, that this year you get to drive in the French Grand Prix?
It's unbelievable because it's my first season in Formula One, and then the French GP is back in the calendar after 10 years, so it could not be a better timing for me to get into F1. I'm super happy and excited about it.
How much do you think about your nationality and who you're representing outside of your team while you're racing?
I mean, we are massively proud to be French. We have the chance to represent our country everywhere in the world, racing for a team. But, when you're on the podium, you win a race and you hear your national anthem. It's just an amazing feeling because it makes success and also your nationality and where you come from.
And because this, of course, is your first season, does it even the playing field somewhat that you're all heading into this race for the first time, having not raced in Formula One there?
Maybe, but yeah, I guess at that level, everyone is so talented. Even if we didn't race there even if the other drivers didn't race there in the last few years, for sure. I was actually saying that you're a pretty good football player.
You were saying that?
Yeah, exactly.
I am just in time. No, we are doing a good couple down in the left side.
Are you looking forward to the French Grand Prix?
French Grand Prix, yeah, well, we are in Monaco yet, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the French Grand Prix. Sorry for the interruption.
No worries, nice to see you. How do you sum up the first half of your season? Mixed would be how somebody from a distance, I think, would describe it.
Yeah, a bit up and down, but looking at the positive, we finished fourth in Bahrain, which was just amazing after 2 races this year.
Could you ever have pictured that happening so early?
No, definitely not. Just an amazing feeling, and hopefully we're going to be in the same situation in the next couple of races.
Coming up, the memory of one French driver lives on in the mind of Sir Jackie Stewart. Welcome back to the circuit, where we're not only welcoming back the French Grand Prix after 10 years away, but also celebrating a return here to the Paul Ricard circuit, which hasn't hosted a Formula One race since 1990. Despite its recent absence from the calendar, France has a great history in Formula One and tradition of producing drivers. Some, like Alain Prost, are incredibly well known, but others, like Francois Sever, perhaps didn't make the impact they should have. Here's 3-time world champion Sir Jackie Stewart on his teammate, whose life was cut tragically short.
I was at the Paul Ricard circuit in the south of France. Ken Tyrrell and I were judges of the school that Elf had running at Ricard. And there was a young driver who we both looked pretty good on the track. He just seemed to be that little bit better than the others, showing the potential. And he was very young, so therefore Ken wanted somebody young to develop. So he felt, and I felt, and I have to say it was led by Ken, he's first class. His driving skills were very good, and he was one of the most attractive, apparently, to the young ladies of any driver in the history of Formula One, from what I hear. I was the sort of father figure, if you like, and the coach, and he was a very good listener. He really wanted, he was desperate to improve his performance and the manner in which he drove. And many times, if he wasn't getting the right qualifying time, I would go out and take him, he would just stick behind me, and he got the lines, the braking distances and so forth. His perfect manners. He was of course a very good looking young man. He came around once with Bridget Bardot. I don't know whether she brought him along or he brought her along. I think the earlier one.
Was there ever a point you got a little bit worried he was maybe getting too good? I mean, maybe when he won his first points in Monza, I think it was 1970.
Yes.
What was your overriding feeling then?
Well, it was always an easy one because he was such a nice man. Of course, I had more experience and I was winning world championships, so therefore, you know, I was in a pretty good position. But to have somebody as skilled as he was and enthusiastic as he was, so desperately keen to improve his own performances, it was a great feeling for me to be able to transfer some of what I knew over to him. And in 1970 he did well. He then won the American Grand Prix. He finished second to me, I think, something like 6 times. And he was ready to be a #1 driver.
And in many ways it adds to the tragedy that the greatest moment of his career at Watkins Glen was also the scene of that fatal crash.
Yes. It was such a terrible accident. It was a horrendous accident, and all of us as drivers were on the track. We all had to stop because the debris was so severe on the track. We wouldn't have been able to get through it. And we all went to Francois, and it was just a horrible accident. So I chose then not to do my 100th Grand Prix, which would have been a nice number. In respect to him, I thought it was correct for us to withdraw from the race. It was the last Grand Prix of the season. We had won the World Championship and the Constructors' Championship, so it was the right time.
How is he remembered in terms of French drivers, in terms of Formula One, in your opinion?
Francois was an exceptional person, a great personality, and as a driver, he was going to be a top driver, and I'm sure he would have won the World Championship.
It's the start of a new chapter for the French Grand Prix, and so too the beginning of an epic run for the teams. 3 back-to-back race weekends. Enjoy. Thanks for watching the circuit, and see you on the other side.